Good early afternoon, 1:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, January 31st, 2023. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I want to do an update before I pick up the kids from school. And just an XRP update so we can see exactly what's going on. Maybe dip into Bitcoin a little bit and possibly look at the total crypto market cap, but I firmly want to focus on XRP. I appreciate the 50 plus people so far that have watched the Silver Stacking episode 4. I released it about an hour ago. It gets about 250 views in the grand scheme of things on average, maybe a little more. But not a lot of people like when I talk about silver stacking or the precious metal side because they don't consider it much of a revenue stream. I beg to differ, and it's a nice way to store your value. And also in the next round, when everybody's talking about crypto, what's everything backed by? XRP's backed by gold in the new world, or the way we look at it in the new digital system. And then X1 would be backed by silver. So why not hold the physical form of it while speculating on the crypto? Which I firmly believe we're on the right page with crypto, with the ISO coins, especially with XRP, XDC, and XLM. And then Algo IOTA, obviously, to follow. HBAR is right up there with it. There's many more that I can name in the Internet of Things with VeChain and Theta and Digibyte. Zill with the Zaliqua network has huge things in the virtual gaming world. That's an untapped market that they've already established. It's insanity. So anyhow, the uptrending support, downtrending resistance is eventually going to meet here. This is the pivot point that I put out here. It's not an official pivot level. It's just something that I'm paying attention to, because this is how you could create the head and shoulders pattern if we keep getting rejected ultimately and not break past and hold the 417 or 416 level, depending on how you're looking at it. But we've created a pattern for us that started back here. We started an uptrend on January 23rd approximately. Started the downtrend approximately on January 23rd as well. It just took a little bit longer. And now we're working on this, and it's almost been about a week. Downtrending resistance, uptrending support. We're trying to see what wins out first. If we play this through, you've got two choices here. And you've got underneath, you've got about the 382, 371, and then ultimately the 355. That could ultimately play into it. So if we're playing through here, support, resistance, support, and we're coming around here. So basically it's done exactly what it needs to do in regards to how this pattern formation would play out. Started down here, hit support, support, resistance, hit it again on resistance, support. Now does it come back around and break down? The more likely thing would be it hit, boom, boom, down, get rejected here again if it's going to break through and then come down. You'd need a rejection point here again to feel more comfortable. Or this actually support, support, resistance, resistance, support holds a third time, and then it comes out, bounces out, and pushes that 446 level or 442 level we've been talking about, depending on where you want to talk. For me, it's in here now. So you'd have to talk about the 446 as we're coming up across on this bull flag pattern that if we open this up just a little bit, you'll be able to see more what I'm talking about. Bring it to the daily. This pattern is presenting itself very wisely here. It's just, which route do we take? Are we going to verify that this has been a confirmed breakdown and a bull flag hold? That's what I would like to see ultimately. I would like to see ultimately a retest on there. This uptrending resistance that was holding for a time support, and then it came down. Hit it twice, support, support, breaks through. Doesn't come up, hits the support down here. I would like to see a resistance hit there, and then ultimately, if it wants to continue this, whatever. But I would like to see the breakdown after. I just want to see a confirmation in that bull zone. Because if the bulls come out at any time, we're coming up here. We can speculate on all the other numbers in between. That's why I throw these little pattern formations out that are just in the immediate short term. I know the bigger pattern. I understand that. But I want everybody to see you can't just get... Ready? You can't just get to here, right? This whole pattern formation without the inner workings now that it's created. And now ultimately created. And ultimately this formation that was created. Within the much larger bear flag. And we can acknowledge that because we can pull it back and then it would look better. But you can also fit it to your agenda, and you could have done something like that, and then you could be like, oh, here's the breakout, and that's exactly why we have the other pattern. But that's the key right now, too. If you set it up like I just drew it out, and it's up for your interpretation, but if you draw it out like that, then you can see that we're testing real importantly in this zone a little bit lower. It's just the ultimate pattern. We have to acknowledge all of that. So we can keep it however we want to fit our agendas. I could fit my own agenda, but I'm just looking for the immediate short term and how this pattern could finish playing out, especially if we came up to this downtrending resistance where it looks like it would be marked around March 10th if it just went sideways and up. But it can hit here at any time. And then if you break out into a longer term pattern, we can go into the grand pattern where I can make more of a prediction based pattern, because this is where I have it broken down into multi levels and different years. So this first level we can say started up here about April of 2022, and that's what we're working on right now. If we go back a little bit farther, we've got from March of 2020. If we take it back even farther, and we try to analyze this pattern in the all-time pattern formations, that's when it gets interesting. Because you've already been to March of 2020, now you got 2017, and ultimately this says 2014, but it actually goes back to 2013. I just don't feel like extending it way down to that wick. So, if we go to the grand pattern now, we've seen what happened in the short term. We see what's happening in the short term. And I'll continue to tell you, anything under 40 cents is a tremendous buy. I will continue to encourage you to join Tom's Army, as I've shown my entire portfolio on there. I would just prefer to show it to paying members of Tom's Army because there's too many speculators that I don't know who you are personally on here. I'll tell you when I buy, but I'm not going to openly keep it up here every single day. So all you need to know is sub 40 cents. I own 4,000 XRP, and it's been very clear on here. What levels? Most of them are much lower than 40. I also own DGB. I also own XDC, but you can find out what I own and the amounts compared to my relative long-term plan. I've been buying when things are down 80% plus. XDC was down 88%. So just get acquainted to my style. Join Tom's Army. In the video description below, you can see a link. And join the exchanges I use on BitGet and or MEXC so you don't have to pay spot fees on your buy and sells. That's the most important part. Don't lose money on the buy and sells. So with the grand pattern here, and for the ones who somewhat get upset when I promote my own stuff, the bottom line is if I don't promote it, who's going to promote it? And I think that's a pretty salty thing to be mad about. Like, oh, I'm doing all this work, but I'm not allowed to promote my brand. That's a pretty dickish move, if that's someone's opinion. But hey, to each your own. So if we break it out into here and we actually make a pattern out and we were to break out at about the 47 cent level, and this would be December 9th of 2024. So just another about roughly 2 years from, and about a year and a half. It is about 2 years. It's about 2 years from now. 21 months, 22 months. I believe it would have a nice breakout all the way up here, and even on an overextension, you could get up to $1.73. So the acquisition under 40 cents would yield you over 400% at minimum in the year of 2024. Now, if we were to break this out and it goes until June of 2025, that's where I think funny things can happen, because that's when more of the adoption will happen with the ISO coins, with the more of the ISO 20022 framework, and central banks will be forcing the actual banks into a new HTML framework. And that's where the likes of XRP, XLM, XDC, the ISO coins, the ones in the Internet of Things, are very valuable at that point. And that's why I think we can get these parabolic spikes. Now, some people are like, well, how's it going to bounce way up here? And I have numbers where it can go way up. And these are actually reversed. This one is supposed to be here. I don't know how I moved that. Could have just got mixed up. It happens. Let me bring this back out. Hold on one. Okay, now this makes more sense after I re-looked at this. Now I understand what I was doing here. Why it looks so weird. This downtrending resistance, that's a newly formed resistance that I've put into the future. Even though it doesn't go way back there, it just helps open it up. For this, if we were to bounce up, and let's say we had a parabolic spike in 2025 where I was showing, this would be, let's just say this fills out, then boom, it finally pops up. Right? It holds this, bounces up, and then it rides this. And then it has its parabolic spike. That is why I put that like that. And that would bring you up to about $188. But that's all the way in December of 2025. So right around the new year going into 2026. But that's what can happen here. Even if we come down in here, well, that's the negative. We're in a very big time frame in the weekly. But let's say we did. We came through here. It's still going to be hard to see. You're going to have to go back to the weekly. But let's say XRP did come through here. That's how you could fill these out, but you don't know if it's coming all the way down to here to that 002 or 2 cent level. I mean 02. Or if it's going to fill out here and ultimately do it. I have no doubt in my mind at some point we're going to be at least way up here. And that gets you to the $5 level. But then when you start breaking out, that's if you start holding these levels. So in here would be the first major level where we try to break back over the $1.63. It's a major level up in there. But that's what I interpret this as. So when everybody asks me what can happen and how bullish are you, I'm very bullish. It's just my bullishness doesn't technically kick in for about I don't want to say 5 years. That was back in 2021. I used to say it was 5 years out. But now, as time passes, we get closer. So the scenario we're looking for is what I drew in there. Even if it does pop all the way up here to that $1.12, which is possible. That's why I like to show that. We could form our own pattern. It hasn't been done yet. This is me speculating that it could come up there. If we were to break out of certain areas, but it's not guaranteed. But even if you did that and then you come all the way down to 12 cents, which is where I think we ultimately could make, see how we did the double bottom? I think that we could get this sneaky bottom, and then that's how we ultimately would push out. And this would firmly push us out on about December of 2024. We'd consolidate for a couple months, break out in about March of 2025, and then we'd consolidate down all the way back down to about 85, and then ultimately back down to about 69 cents on December 2025 on this form of a pattern. And then it has a parabolic spike because it not only held the breakout, didn't break down below the downtrending resistance newly formed, that I'm speculating it's going to be around there. And then it has its all-out breakout moment at around 69 to 72 cents roughly. And that's how we would ultimately push out and have these unbelievable gains once again. And that's where XRP, in the right environment, could push out over $100 a share or a token. But it's going to take a lot of work. My main focus is to get back to that $1.63. Ultimately do what I'm showing right here. But it doesn't necessarily need to take that long. But we're not that far out now. When we're talking 2026 on to 2025. You start stacking now when it's 40 cents and cheaper, like I'm trying to show everybody. And ultimately have your side bag, have your stuff stacked in. Because right now XRP is 80% off from, just over a year ago. But ultimately in June, July of 2021, we're almost 80% off. So the point is you can have 80% of your bag to the side and already have just as much XRP as you would have had by paying 20%. And still having 80% of your XRP funds when it hits sub 20 cents. That's the ultimate goal here. Get it right mentally. Get it right in the portfolio to where you can maximize your potential. There's a lot more going on than meets the eye. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Join Tom's Army. All the information you need to know about the exchanges I use or the Army is in the video description below. Stay blessed, and I would really appreciate that like. If you get something out of this, hit that subscribe button and leave me a comment so I know what the hell you're thinking.